If you have an average hiring strategy, you're going to get average talent for your business. And this process that I've refined over years, while it takes more work, almost guarantees you're going to find amazing A-player talent. Here are the steps in the Hunger Games hiring process. A process like this is so good at vetting that it really only reveals the final best candidate. I'm going to walk you through the entire process and then go through each step individually and tell you the important things to think. So if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a kind of cool tactic for when you're talking to someone's reference to understand what they really think about the strengths and weaknesses of a candidate, even if they're trying to paint like the perfect rosy picture. So before we jump in though, who am I? My name is Andrew Guderian. I've been a full-time e-commerce entrepreneur for 15 years, started and sold multiple businesses. I'm the founder of E-commerce Fuel, the web's largest community of 7- and 8-figure e-commerce owners. And like I mentioned, I've used this exact process refined over the years to find a team who I can count on to run my business, and they do an incredible job. Number one, the job description. A lot of people talk about job descriptions, and if you read the ones that are out there, they are incredibly boring and not very persuasive or fun to read. My biggest suggestion, don't be a corporate tool. Talk about what your business is really like, why you exist, who you're looking for, who you aren't looking for. Throw some humor in there. Be different. Number two, the first step in your process should be screening for the number one most important job attribute you're looking for. If you need someone who can write incredibly well, have them reply to an email. So whatever it is, figure out what the most important criteria is and screen everyone from the top. After that, your next step should be a questionnaire to get people to eliminate yourselves. This is a great chance to ask all the little questions you didn't ask up front. So questions I like asking. What kind of salary are you expecting? This is a great time to ask so you can disqualify people. Ask them for a typing test, especially if they're doing a lot of online work. Ask them with the experience with your second and third most important criteria. The best way to set this up is in a type form or some kind of online survey where they can fill this all out. Also ask for their LinkedIn. It gives you a sense of the candidate's career arc, their skills, and where they've been. And then finally, give them an overview of the process in this. The number of people who appreciate deeply that you tell them what the process looks like, your timeline for hiring. It builds trust and credibility with you, the employer. Now, after you've gotten a bunch of people to eliminate themselves in the questionnaire round, you should have some pretty good candidates. And that's when you're going to start doing quick interviews. And the goal of these first round is to understand two things. One, do they understand the basic skills of this role? And secondly, are they a good cultural fit? So on the skills side, just come up with a couple quick questions. Does this person understand kind of the intermediate level facets of this job? And secondly, think through the core cultural facets of your organization, your company, that you want this person to match. For example, if I want to find out if somebody's hospitable, I'm going to say, tell me a time in the last 2 months you did something for a friend or a loved one outside of a birthday that made them feel special or seen. Ask questions like that to suss out from a cultural perspective, are they a good fit? Once you've done that, make sure at the end of every interview, you're grading them numerically. So make a list of the questions you're asking and rate them from 1 to 10 so that by the time you're done with that round of interviews, you have a numerical rating that you can trust and is quantitative versus just your brain and your memory. So now you should have a handful of candidates, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 at the most, that you can go on to the round 2 interviews. And these are going to be more in-depth to dive deep on their skills, really start asking them the nitty-gritty questions. And can you prove to me through answering these questions that you know all the details? Ask about their work history. Ask about why they are leaving and coming to a new organization or wanting to. You learn a lot that way. Get input from your team. So for all the important questions you're asking, go ahead and make sure you grade them numerically. Also ask them for references. So what I do to try to get an accurate assessment from references is I ask every reference to rate the candidate on a scale of 1 to 10 in like 7 or 8 areas. Attention to detail, communication, ability to take feedback, create those. If I get 10s across the board, I'll throw the feedback out because they're not giving me accurate representations. But a lot of times people will say, maybe they'll rate someone on a scale of 9 to 10s or 8s to 10s. And what you have to do is you have to grade on the curve. So if somebody gives somebody a 10 for communication and an 8 on the ability to take feedback, well, ability to take feedback is not one of their strengths. All right, at this stage, you probably have 2, maybe 3 candidates left. And it's time to put them through the paces of a project. I have found in terms of finding great talent is to Give them the real work that they're going to be doing. So when you're doing this, a couple of recommendations. First, pay them well. You're already signaling how you're going to treat them. My work projects, I like to put them in the 10 to the 15 hour range. That gives me enough time to give them something meaty without completely blowing up their life. So send it off to them. And then as the results come in, make sure you also don't just evaluate the results, but look at some of the meta signs you see. These things are also a lot of, very telling for determining what someone's going to work like in your business. So finally, hopefully, the work project is often the most illuminating thing. And at this point, you likely have someone who is a standout winner. Biggest thing I could recommend right now, and where a lot of people drop the ball, is to get complacent. You have to change your strategy. You have been, the candidate this whole time has been selling you that they're the great fit. Well, the power dynamic has changed. I need to sell them now. I need to make sure this is worth their while. So when you make that offer, sell them on the vision, sell them on the development for themselves. And then finally, when you do start onboarding them, make sure you're available, make sure you're training them, because you have so much rides on that first, 2 to 4 weeks in your company. I hope this was helpful for you. If you found some value in it, please hit the thumbs up below for me. Subscribe to the channel. If you're a podcast listener, check out the E-commerce Fuel podcast with weekly actionable episodes just like this. And if you happen to run a 7 or an 8-figure e-commerce or online business, check out ecommercefuel.com. It is the largest and most active community for 7 and 8-figure brands online. And we're regularly talking about all sorts of stuff like this. How do you hire great talent? How do you motivate them? How do you put together incentive packages? How do you become a great leader? Not to mention all the other million parts of running a meaningful business. Thanks for listening. Work hard, adventure often. Appreciate you watching.
Anytime I hire an agency or use software, I always search ECF first, not just for the specific software that I'm considering, but also on a broader sense. Like, does anybody have recommendations? What are you using for this? And on a large number of occasions, the ECF community has mentioned other alternatives that I may not have known about or considered. And
E-commerce Fuel has been incredible. Within an hour of joining the community, I had an answer to a really annoying issue I was experiencing with Amazon. And on their community, someone responded they had the same issue. This was a simple fix. I implemented that the same day. And within an hour, the platform paid for itself.
What ECF has provided for me is the ability to have somebody that's been through whatever I'm struggling with, or I can bounce an idea off of or get new ideas from. There's always somebody that I can turn to.
The ECF community has helped me feel less alone on my journey of building an e-commerce brand. I feel like I've also learned a lot of great new strategies and made amazing connections through the platform, and I can't imagine building the brand without it now.